Okay, Twyla, do you know if we have Councillor Solda coming on and Councillor Washington? Oh, there's Councillor Washington. Okay, I'm not sure if Councillor Solda is making it on or not, but it is 2 o'clock, so we will call to order our regular meeting of council. And we'll.
Oh, I have my.
Okay, we will call to order our regular meeting of council and start by recognizing that we are holding our meeting with most of us coming to joining the meeting from the unceded territories of the Hoopajessit and Sishot First Nations. We do have an agenda in front of us. Councillors, are there any late items to add to the agenda? Seeing none, any late items from the city clerk?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have a letter from Mr. Smith for the agenda today, and just with regards to the May 10th council minutes.
Thank you. And will that be added just for receipt with the correspondence for information?
Correct. We can add it to the summary.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, with that, would somebody like to move approval of our agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Corbeil. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And before we adopt the minutes, we do have the minutes from a special meeting held at 10:30 a.m. and the regular meeting of council held at 2 p.m. on May 10th, 2021. I'd like to just add an amendment that the May 10th minutes be amended to reflect that council reconvened an in-camera meeting which had been recessed earlier in the day at the end of the regular meeting of council. Would somebody like to move adoption of the minutes as amended with the May 10th?
Move adoption.
Amended. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Poon, seconded by Councillor Corbeil. Any comments or further amendments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. And that brings us to public input period, which is an opportunity for members of the public to submit input on topics of relevance to City Council. A maximum of 4 submissions will be accommodated and read out loud by the Director of Corporate Services. Have we received any input today?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, we have not received any requests for public input.
Okay, thank you. And seeing no delegations on our agenda today, no unfinished business, we'll move on to staff reports with the first item being accounts. Councillor Washington.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the certification of the Director of Finance dated May 25, 2021 be received and checks numbering 148489 to 148548 inclusive and payments of accounts totaling $556,680.09 be approved.
Second, Madam Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Corbeil. Seeing no comments, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And item number 2 from the Director of Parks, Recreation and Heritage, we have the UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund 2021 ESS Grant Award. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In January 2021, in partnership with the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District, staff applied for a grant within the 2021 UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund to support the city's ability to respond during local emergencies requiring reception centers facilities. And our application for $50,000 was successful. And so these grants will focus on enhancing the equipment within the mobile trailer that we purchased with our 2020 grant of $25,000. And that'll enable staff to erect a reception center at various locations should Echo Center not be a viable facility.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the update. Are there any questions from council? Okay, seeing none, assuming no direction is needed, this is just for the information of council and the public. Thanks for your work on this. It's definitely exciting to see that we'll be able to be a bit more mobile and ready to respond. So that's great news. And moving on to item number 3, from the development planner, we have development permit number 21-04.
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor. For council's consideration is a development permit for an industrial building at 4760 Tebow Avenue. The applicant is Kelty Chamberlain from McElhaney Consulting, and they've applied for a development permit in order to build a server warehouse facility for Shaw Cable Systems. And as with all development permits, we've reviewed the application in terms of how it meets the development guidelines and the zoning bylaw requirements. The property is zoned M1, light industrial, and it's within the Port Alberni Industrial Park, which is identified in the official community plan, and it's also within the industrial development permit area of the OCP. The property is located on Tebow Avenue, about 75 meters south of Maple Way and on the west side of the street, and so it also backs onto the Roger Creek Parkland. In terms of the development itself, the application is proposing to build a small warehouse facility near the front of the property that'll contain communications servers and a small office. In total, it'll be about 2,300 square feet, so it's not a large building. And the building itself is really characteristic of an industrial facility. It's fairly nondescript. It has two-tone steel siding with just a few doors and windows. But behind the building and towards the rear of the property will be a dedicated outdoor storage area for cable and other materials that they'll need day to day. The city's guidelines for industrial development are mostly concerned with large vehicle access and making sure there's enough landscaping to screen the activities on site. And the applicant has met these requirements by providing landscaping at the front, sides, and rear of the property. This means that all the parking, loading, and storage areas will be screened from view through a combination of trees, shrubs, and fencing. The main vehicle access will be through a gated fence at Tebow Avenue, with a loading area and the majority of the parking located behind the building. And the applicant has also confirmed that the truck traffic will be limited to mid-sized commercial vehicles. So we're not expecting this development to generate any issues stemming from the site access or traffic or that sort of thing. So to summarize, issuing this permit at 4760 Tebow Avenue will enable the applicant to proceed with building a light industrial facility that will contain a warehouse and a small office. The site will also have an outdoor storage area for keeping materials. And staff are satisfied that this proposal meets the development permit area guidelines in the OCP, as well as the requirements in the zoning bylaw. And the planning department supports the issuance of this permit. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Council, are there questions? Councillor Washington.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just two questions for our planner. One, does this mean that Shaw will be leaving the 8th Avenue office they have now? If you know, and will there be any communication towers or anything be erected on Tebow Avenue after they move in?
Madam Mayor, as part of our discussions for this development permit, it never came up in our conversations whether or not they'll be moving from their current site, but I can assure you that their development permit application contains no plans for a tower on this site.
Thank you very much. Councillor Poon.
Thank you. As usual, I just want to express my how pleased I am to see that there's continued investment in our community, and we'll be very happy to see the finished product. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Councillor Paulson.
Well, I just like to reiterate Councillor Poon's comments. It'll be great to see a development on this empty lot that's sat empty for I don't know how many years. I'd be more than pleased to read the motion.
Wonderful. Please do.
I'd like to move that council authorize the issuance of development permit number 21-04 and that the Director of Corporate Services be authorized to sign the permit, including the development plans as shown on Schedule B. Permit prepared by McElhaney, issued for 4760 Tebow Avenue and dated May 7th, 2021.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
seconder? Seconded by Councillor Haggard. Any final comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to bylaws. Our first item, number 1, from the Director of Development Services and Deputy CAO, we have official community plan, bylaw and zoning bylaw amendments for 4305 Kendall Avenue.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So before you have consideration of third and final adoption of the official community plan and zoning bylaw amendments for a portion of 4305 Kendall Avenue. The applicant is proposing to have a split zoning on the property to allow institutional housing to be built while maintaining the other portion for potential future multifamily residential. And this is the partnership between BC Housing and the Hooayat First Nations for a Mother Center. A public hearing was held on May 13th, 2021, and council received representation from the Hooayat First Nation and BC Housing that made presentations, and also received several letters of support for this project. Overall, the proposed development aligns with the Fish Community Plan policies and objectives for housing and supportive services. And it is also supported by the Development Services Department that the conditions that were recommended by the Advisory Planning Commission not be required for this project, given this is a partnership between BC Housing and the Hooayat First Nation, and that we would support third and final adoption to be able to move this project forward. And I'd be pleased to answer any questions of council.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Poon.
Sure, I'll comment that I'm very excited about this project, and I know it's desperately needed to have housing for children and families and also mothers, but also I'm excited to know that they have daycare spaces available, perhaps just for those who live there, but maybe more to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a wonderful project, and I'm really excited and appreciative of the Hooayat First Nations and BC Housing for putting this project forward in our community. Specifically, just the mentality around supporting mothers to be able to stay with their children and be in a supported environment where they're able to be successful in that role long term. I'm incredibly excited to see this project going through, and I think it certainly makes sense given the specific nature of the project to help it move forward as quickly as we are able. And just echoing Councillor Poon, especially around the daycare spaces as well. We all know, and speak regularly about the housing shortage in our community, but the daycare shortage is becoming highlighted more and more frequently lately. And as we know, if people don't have access to appropriate daycare, then it holds back a lot of things in our community. So certainly looking forward to seeing this project go through. Councillor Poon, would you like to read the motions?
Yes, however, I don't have the motions in front of me.
Okay, let's see if we can get them back up on our screen.
Yes, I'll move that official community plan amendment number 32, 4305 Kendall Avenue, BC Housing, Omisku, bylaw number 5015 be read a third time.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Haggard. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, carried. Thank you. Go on to the next one.
Yes, I'll move that zoning map amendment number 42, 4305 Kendall Avenue, BC Housing, Omisku, bylaw number 5016 be read a third time.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Haggard. Seeing no comments, all in favor? None opposed, carried.
And I'll move that zoning bylaw text amendment number T26 site-specific use P1 institutional bylaw number 5017 be read a third time.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Washington. Seeing no comments, all in favor? Carried, none opposed. Thank you. Continue.
And I'll move that official community plan amendment number 32, 4305 Kendall Avenue, BC Housing, Omisku, bylaw number 5015 be now fully adopted, signed by the mayor and corporate officer, and numbered 5015.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Haggard. Seeing no comments, all in favor? None opposed, carried.
I'll move that zoning map amendment number 42, 4305 Kendall Avenue, BC Housing, Omisku, bylaw number 5016 be now finally adopted, signed by the mayor and corporate officer, and numbered 5016.
Seconded by Councillor Haggard. Again, seeing no comments, all in favor? Carried, none opposed. And the last one.
I'll move that zoning bylaw text amendment number T26 site-specific use P1 institutional bylaw number 5017 be now finally adopted, signed by the mayor and corporate officer, and numbered 5017.
Seconded by Councillor Haggard. Seeing no comments, all in favor? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much. And again, thank you to BC Housing and to Huu-ay-aht First Nation for bringing this project forward and all the work that they've put into it. We'll move on to item number 2 from the Director of Corporate Services, City of Port Alberni, road closures and removal of dedicated bylaw number 5028, 2021, portion of road on Anderson Avenue and Gordon Street.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So latter part of 2019, the City of Port Alberni and BC Housing entered into a letter of intent regarding the lease and redevelopment of sites owned by the City of Port Alberni for the purpose of providing second stage housing. BC Housing and the Alberni Community and Women's Services Society are now positioned to move forward with the proposed development of 22 units of second stage housing at 4440 Vimy Street in Port Alberni. BC Housing, on behalf of the City of Port Alberni, are in the process of submitting applications for an OCP amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, building permit approvals, and subdivision. This bylaw is before council as a result of the subdivision application process. So council may, by bylaw, permanently close and remove highway dedications to all traffic. This closure is a result of BC Housing moving forward with its proposed development of a 2-story residential building. When considering bylaws of this nature, councils are required to provide notice to the public and permit an opportunity to hear representations from persons who feel their interests may be affected by the proposed bylaw. Council is being asked to consider 3 readings to the proposed bylaw at this meeting, with final adoptions to be considered by council at its regular meeting June 14th, subject to hearing representations from persons who may be affected.
Okay. Thank you very much. Council, any questions? Okay, seeing no questions. Let's see, Councillor Paulson, would you like to read the motions?
I'd love to. I'd like to move that the City of Port Alberni road closures and removal of dedication bylaw number 5028, 2021 be introduced and read a first time.
Second, Madam Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Corbeil. Any comments or questions on the first? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried, none opposed.
I'd move that City of Port Alberni road closures and removal of dedication bylaw number 5028, 2021 be read a second time.
Second.
Second, Madam Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Poon. Seeing no comments again, all in favor? Carried, thank you.
And finally, that the City of Port Alberni road closures and removal of dedication bylaw number 5028, 2021 be read a third time.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Of course, that will come back to council at the next meeting for final adoption after consideration from the public. Moving on to item number 3, Director of Corporate Services, Alberni Valley Community Forest Reserve Fund Amendment number 2, bylaw number 4854-2.
Thank you. So council is aware the Alberni Valley Community Forest Corporation are subject to articles under incorporation number BC 862820. The articles speak to the payment of dividends which are payable to the City of Port Alberni as the shareholder of the company. While disbursement of funds was previously considered and carried out by the Legacy Committee, council dissolved that committee in 2019, given the committee had concluded its mandate at the time. At the same time, members of the Alberni Valley Community Forest expressed a desire to enhance public awareness of the AVCF and sought an opportunity to make an annual small financial contribution to a project that would benefit the community as a whole. With the existence of the city's community investment program, it was recommended at that time that the small contribution of $10,000 be authorized and managed through the city's community investment program. However, the structure of that program supported projects non-capital in nature. This resulted in the board chair writing to council requesting that council reconsider its previous direction and authorize members of the Alberni Valley Community Forest Board to directly donate $10,000 of its dividend funds annually to a special community project. Council at its regular meeting in April authorized that request. As such, staff have prepared amendments to the bylaw that would facilitate this request and meet the formal structure of the corporation and its articles. Staff went ahead and amended the bylaw, and this was a simpler means rather than going through a formal process of amending the articles. So attached to this report is the amendment bylaw and a schedule that outlines how the $10,000 could be donated by the community forest.
Thank you. Okay, well, Council, I will just say that although I wasn't at the meeting where this decision was made, I'm very happy Council opted to move in this direction. The Community Forest Board and volunteers do just an incredible amount of work for the city as the sole shareholder of that organization, and the amount of dividends that we get is certainly helpful to our long-term initiatives. So I think this is a great way just to simplify the process that they're looking at to try to ensure that they do have a role in some of those community donations. So Councillor Corbeil, would you like to read the motions?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to move that the Alberni Valley Community Forest Reserve Fund Amendment Number 2, Bylaw Number 4854-2 be introduced and read a first time.
Second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried.
I further move that Alberni Valley Community Forest Fund Amendment Number 2, Bylaw Number 4854-2 be read a second time.
Second, Madam Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Paulson. Seeing no comments, all in favor? Carried.
And I move that the Alberni Valley Community Forest Fund Amendment Number 2, Bylaw Number 4854-2 be read a third time.
Second, Madam Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Paulson. Are there any final comments for third reading? Councillor Washington.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Reading the proposal, and it says special community projects. Would we know that if that would be something like when things get back to normal, things like the toy run of the fall fair, the salmon festival, is that what they're kind of targeting after?
Councillor Corbeil, you're probably more in the know on these conversations, having been our representative. Do you want to speak to that? Oh, you're muted, Councillor Corbeil.
Still muted.
Still muted.
His wife probably doesn't mind that. Still muted.
All right. Well, I believe they are looking at a variety of initiatives. For instance, there's a current initiative that's been talked about in the public, beautifying a vacant lot. So I think they're looking at that type of thing. But from my understanding is that they're open to supporting community events as well. So I think we'll see a variety of initiatives coming forward. This just changes the process a little bit in how, not necessarily the types of projects, but changes the process a little bit in how those funds will be allocated. Of course, with council still, as always, having the final say.
Madam Mayor, can you hear me now?
Now we can.
Oh, there you go. I had my IT department work on that. And also, it's projects that help the valley as a whole. Similar to the dividends. So they look at any projects that would enhance everybody in the Alberni Valley's life.
Awesome.
But you were pretty accurate.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so we have had third reading moved and seconded. Seeing no further comments, all in favor? Carried, none opposed. Thank you. We'll move on to correspondence for action, and we have one item, which is a letter dated May 7th, 2021 from the Alberni Valley Pride Society requesting City Hall fly the rainbow flag the week of June 1st to 6th, 2021. Would somebody like to make this motion? Councillor Haggard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move that the letter from Alberni Valley Pride Society requesting City Hall fly the rainbow flag the week of June the 1st to June the 6th, 2021 for Pride Week be authorized as requested.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. No proclamations today. So moving on to correspondence for information.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we have 6 items on council correspondence summary, and we'll make that 7 with the addition of Mr. Smith. The first one from the municipal affairs, and it's just talking about the changes to the Climate Action Revenue Incentive Program. We also have minutes from the AV Museum and Heritage Commission. We have a letter from Access BC campaign looking for council to pass a motion supporting universal access to non-cost prescription contraception. We have 2 letters from Leslie Walerius. In the last regular meeting, we talked about how questions submitted to council will be responded to going forward. So Leslie's questions in her letter will be captured on our Q&A tracking summary, and it will be presented to council at its next regular meeting. We also have a letter from District of Tofino, and copy of 2 news releases from the Ministry of Children and Families and the City of Port Alberni, 1 release from each, and it's talking about the announcement regarding the child care program.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Poon.
Yes, I noticed that in the resolutions book for AVICC, there is a resolution in there for the Climate Action Revenue Incentive Program. So perhaps my fellow councillors can have a look at that too.
Absolutely, thank you. Other comments about the correspondence? Councillor Paulson.
I just want to bring out letter number 6 from the Ministry of Children and Families, and the announcement of the child care spaces for Port Alberni. And that's a monumental project for our community. And also in that letter, they also highlighted several other projects that are going on in the community that, quite frankly, I wasn't aware of, but was really, really pleased to see. So I just want to acknowledge that letter and the grant from our provincial government to bring forward those childcare spaces. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Councillor Paulson. And I will just echo that. For anyone who's unaware, the City of Port Alberni is receiving a $2.9 million grant for 100% funding to build a new childcare facility. And for me, it's really exciting because this is a purpose-built childcare facility rather than, we have an old building somewhere and we're going to let someone use it as a childcare space. It's really exciting to see, a building actually being built for children and with children and their needs top of mind. So that's incredibly exciting. But additional to that, that creates 88 spaces in the community. Additional to that, there are more spaces with Huayet First Nation having received some, EJ Dunn, School District 70 receiving more spaces, for a total of 176 childcare spaces in the community being created. And that is just an incredible investment in our community. So really want to extend our thanks to the provincial government. That is a significant investment in the community. When we did our childcare spaces planning assessment in 2019 through the regional district, it highlighted a really significant lack of childcare in the community. It's recommended that for every child, it's recommended that there be 1 daycare space for every 2 children. That's the provincially recommended number. And in the Alberni Valley, currently, we have 1 childcare space for every 6 children. So a huge shortfall in getting to kind of that, easy to obtain childcare level. So really just a huge investment, and want to really thank the provincial government for that, including Josie Osborne, our MLA, of course, and Scott Fraser, who really advocated over the last few years in his role for childcare spaces as well. And also council for recognizing that although this project, when we decided to, start focusing on it about 1.5 years ago, even though it wasn't a piece of our strategic plan, council, recognized the opportunity and decided to commit to putting in an application. Staff worked very hard on that. We've had some great contractors, and I just see this as a huge success now, having seen a significant investment into childcare spaces in the community. So could not be more thrilled with the result. And it's always nice to get $2.9 million from another level of government. Oh, and we have Councillor Solda coming on. Councillor Paulson, go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just wonder if you might want to make some comment on the business model or governance model. I know people in the community are asking, is the city going to run this childcare facility? And we're not in the childcare business. So maybe you want to just make a comment on the business model or what it'll look like kind of when it's done.
Sure. So we are not in the childcare business. So our intent is to own the facility, and we are really, we're working with what the provincial government has put in front of us in terms of a bit of a model. So the provincial government has changed the childcare funding available to families so that basically childcare facilities should be able to generate enough funds to be long-term sustainable, including paying a lease. So our intent is to own the facility, but not to operate it. I won't speak to at this point who the operator is going to be. All I will say is, because we don't know that yet, we are working with a contractor who is going to be bringing together stakeholders to look at what the best available option is. But the intent is that it will be a partnership. It will not be a city-operated facility. But the intent as well from the provincial government is that it should not be a drain on municipal resources. So that's why the provincial government has added additional funding resources to families. Something like there used to be 15,000 families who were eligible for childcare subsidy, and now the Affordable Childcare Act has about 90,000 families eligible. So really increase the amount of families that are able to be funded for childcare. And in doing that is funding childcare facilities at a long-term sustainable rate. So it shouldn't be something that we intend anyways to have to add as a budget item beyond owning the building. Councillor Haggard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was really sad to see in the minutes from the Museum and Heritage Commission that the Kiwanis Club has now decided to fold. I just want to recognize the Kiwanis Club and all of its former members for all the good work that they've done through in the community for the last several years, all the projects they've supported and all the nonprofits that they've helped as well. So thank you so much for all your hard work over the years.
Including Councillor Washington and his significant amount of work that he has put in to that club. Absolutely. Okay, any other comments or items councillors would like to highlight from the correspondence? Seeing none, would somebody like to move receipt?
I'll move receipt of items 1 through 7.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councillor Poon, seconded by Councillor Paulson. All in favor? Carried. And no report from in camera, so we'll move on to council reports. Councillors, are there any items people would like to highlight? Okay, seeing none. Oh,
Madam Mayor,
Councillor
I have a meeting with Rainbow Gardens coming up on Thursday, and I just want to say there's going to be some good news announcements soon on Rainbow Gardens. Just wanted to bring that forward to council.
Wonderful. We are certainly looking forward to having an update on when they plan to start construction. So very much looking forward to that. That is another housing project in our community funded by BC Housing, aside from 2 on this agenda already. The amount of investment that we're getting in our community from BC Housing is just incredible right now. So looking forward to an update on that. Hopefully you can bring us that soon, Councillor Solda. Okay. Would somebody like to, we've moved sorry. No, I don't think we did move receipt of the council reports.
Move receipt of council reports.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Solda. All in favor? Carried. On to new business. Are there any items of new business today? Councillor Solda.
It's not really new business. What I want to know is what's happening on it's not the Kingsway, but the other hotel, King Edward. Was it the King Edward? With the burnout building and cleaning it up. Do we know what's going on there?
Sorry, which building are you referring to?
It's the building that's been burnt on which street? Oh, down from you, from the Brie and Barrel.
Across the street, do you mean?
Yes.
Just the garage in the back?
Well, that, and also down the old hotel that's been sitting with a fence around it for a long time, waiting for it to be cleaned up. And I know there's been some interest.
The fence around it. Do you mean the arrow view?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Sorry. I got my mind on work
So
here. Sorry.
the demolished arrow view. Maybe we should ask staff for an update on that.
I would love to hear it because it's been a long time, and you know what? COVID has been around for over a year. Let's move forward.
Sure. Tim, are you able to provide any update at this point on the Arrowview Hotel?
Madam Mayor, staff has considered the demolition and the final stages of it, and whether we want to get more involved in that. And we have engaged with the owner. And if you like, I can touch base with the owner again and bring you a report at your next meeting.
Sure, it would be great even just to have a verbal report at that point. And as we do know, Councillor Solda, the building is listed for sale. It hasn't been for long, probably maybe 2 months it's been listed for sale. I shouldn't say building, it's not a building anymore. The site has been listed for sale. I don't have any information on the other building across the street from me, but not sure that there was a small fire there not long ago. Yeah, so I'm not sure if we wouldn't have an update on that at this point.
No, that's fine. It's mainly the Arrowview that I really want the information from. It's just been a long time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, question period. Just ask the corporate officer if we've received any questions.
No questions have been received.
Thank you very much. Then with that, would somebody like to move adjournment?
Move adjournment.
Moved by Councillor Poon, seconded by Councillor Paulson. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, everyone.